Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon and welcome to another of our webinar Wednesdays, hosted by Cal State Bakersfield Small Business Development Center. Good afternoon, I'm Kelly Bearden, and we're back for Webinar Wednesday. This is edition number 345. It is National Small Business Week, and we are celebrating today, May 7th, 2025. Got a couple of great guests, got some great things to go over as we honor and celebrate small businesses. And as mentioned, we are in a celebratory mode. It is National Small Business Week, and we are honoring the great commitment that small businesses make to all of our United States. And we'll look at some of those statistics today. Today we will name, during our webinar, we'll name our Kern Inyo Small Business of the Year. So it's our center right here, beautiful downtown Bakersfield, and we will present potentially an award as well. So it's great. We get to celebrate today with the U.S. Small Business Administration. SBA, Don Golik will join us for all the latest on what is up with SBA. I'm sure there's some great things happening. Our Capital Quarter, kind of some of the unique findings of our Fed Partner Report. You might recall that we actually participated with the Federal Reserve Bank in their annual credit survey and had over 100 respondents. Thank you for responding, those of you out there who took time to participate in that credit survey, which is very valuable information and our sliver of data they gave to us. And we will share a couple of the unique findings from that report today. We'll have news and information and resources to help you thrive. We'll talk about a couple of our normal features. We talk about the Capital Quarter every week. We also have the Economic Corner. We're going to talk a little bit on the value of current small businesses, something we've talked about a little bit lately, but it's really some fantastic data and research that really shows in Kern County the value small businesses have on the overall economy here. If you have questions after today's presentations, please go to the Q&A box. So the questions and answers, go in there and type in your particular questions. Our resources that we talk about today will be available to you in today's chat. And we do have a poll today. So just a simple couple little polls. You know me, I'm in a great mood. So let's keep it all going. And let's find out what you're optimistic about. Yeah, what are you most optimistic about regarding your small business? And I know that could be a lot of different things. Is it your customer base? Is it your employees or your team? Are you optimistic about your business model that you're putting in place? Or, it's been a tough decade. Are you optimistic about how resilient you have been in your particular business? If you have any others that you would like to add what you're optimistic, please go to the chat box and put them in there. And sometime during this hour, we'll go back and circle back and find those. But right now, our first poll question is, what are you optimistic about? And right now, we are up to about 57% of you participating. Get a few more, and no wrong answer here is what makes you positive about what's going on with your particular business. So we do have, as I mentioned, 57%. I am going to, in the poll, over 60% and share that data with you. And, 50% of you, it's about resiliency. So resilience, it's been, if anything can define National Small Business Week, and actually this decade, it can be resilience. So I hear you loud and clear. 50%, also 25% are optimistic with your customer base. Got a good customer base that's going to come back and continue to work it for you. And then a couple of ties with your team, your employees, and your business model. And then we also had something in the other. Okay, great. Well, thank you for that. That is our first poll question. Our second poll question. Now I get this. Now I get to see if I can stump you with one of my pop quizzes. And of course, it's going to deal with National Small Business Week. And it is, what year was National Small Business Week started with a presidential declaration? So yes, it was declared by the president. And what year was that? Was it 1947, 1963, or 1988? Jump into my pop quiz of the week. It is, how long have we been celebrating National Small Business Week? And with 73%, that's fantastic, participating, we're going to jump in and give you one last second and in the poll. And with 75% of you participating, we'll share the results. And 67% of you say 1988. Well, 1988 was a great year, but the correct answer is 1963. So for 62 years, we have been celebrating the commitment that small businesses make for our economy. So thank you for sharing that particular question and sharing your poll and your thoughts with us. What we're going to do is we're going to actually honor our 2025 Small Business of the Year Award here in Kern, Inyo, and Mono counties. For a little background information, we have Maureen starting a video right now.
Family-run dessert business offering sweet treats and drinks. Ceremony includes crepes, funnel cakes, churros. We did not have any experience opening a business from the ground up, so we weren't very clear on how to establish like the business and choose the right structure, all the permitting and things like that. So that's when we contacted the SBDC.
One of the great things at the SBDC is that we have several very qualified and seasoned experienced advisors, and being able to come from different disciplines such as marketing and HR, and also the food business, food and beverage, it really brings a lot of talent and a lot of diversity to particular small businesses.
When they first came in 2019, they had their ideas on, what their goals were. So we just had to have a discussion in regards to where you can start the best, what has the lowest cost associated with getting into the business.
And I think with Stephanie and Sweet Bites and Ice, it's totally like that. Whereas you have a business that's going to have a lot of different issues, from funding, from marketing, to new licensing, to some of the real specific issues in food. And it's really nice to have a full complement of team members that can actually work toward that particular end with a particular flight.
The SBDC really helped us just get started, trying to figure out what we needed to be able to just open the business. And we had a lot of challenges throughout just the whole time that COVID was going on. I think during 2020 and 2021, we had challenges getting even basic ingredients like flour and eggs. They were hard to find. Staffing was a challenge. So we really did get a lot of help through the SBDC.
We wanted to make sure that they had a legal entity. We had to do for the tax purposes of keeping it separate. And we also did the same thing when they opened up the new shop to make sure we didn't affect the old one. So we even set up a new LLC for the new shop. But as far as just getting everything ready and getting them on doing a business plan so they understood their financials. And that's something that Stephanie was really good at. And that helps a lot.
And I think moving from that into getting our own prep kitchen and being able to expand, and then going into opening a restaurant, that just seemed like impossible when we first started. And when we first contacted Jim, we really just wanted to open a business and we didn't know where it was going to take us.
You really have to applaud Stephanie and her parents and her entire family, her employees and the whole team for working through that at a very difficult time.
So we work as a team. For the most part, I'm in charge of the marketing, some aspects of employees. My mom is in charge of employee training. She's in charge of a lot of the logistics. We both do the financials together. And my dad is in charge of a lot of the getting everything here.
The growth that Sweet Bites and Ice has had is almost unprecedented to grow this quickly. And in a few years to grow multiple locations, number of employees, sales, etc. I think the potential is unlimited. I think that there's a lot of ways that they can grow this particular business. It really comes down to how do they want to grow the business.
In the times when I've been able to travel or I've been able to try new things, I would always think like, well, my grandpa would have loved this to bring it here to Bakersfield so that other people can have those experiences. That really inspires me.
Coming from the director of the Small Business Development Center, it's really fun when you meet people like the Chavez family and you really see the work and the effort and the pride that comes out of owning a successful small business.
Hey, and we're back. And we're back with our 2025 Small Business of the Year Award. I know that's a little bit of torture that I did there, playing those wonderful looking desserts at lunchtime. By the way, I do recommend the cheesecake milkshake. It does have an entire slice of cheesecake in it. But all that's doing is making me more hungry. And so it's great. I have the great opportunity now to present to Stephanie Chavez our 2025 CSU Bakersfield Small Business of the Year. Stephanie, congratulations.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate all the help that the SBDC has brought to us. We really wouldn't be where we are at right now without all the advice that we've received and just the help that we've received throughout the entire process of opening and running a business.
And I know a little thing about, you learned a little thing about resilience in the last year yourself. So you
Yes.
you get the full spectrum of all that. And it really, Stephanie's story comes from coming to the SBDC about 4 or 5 months before the pandemic and still pursuing on with planning her business and opening her business on June 2020 after the pandemic, enjoying the success and then expanding into a retail location. She's at her second location now. So just congratulations and keep up the great work.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Our 2025 Small Business of the Year. So back to the slides. Thank you, Stephanie. So a little bit on our economic corner and the value of small businesses on Kern County's economy. One thing that we were really stunned by this recent information that we shared back in March on Webinar Wednesday was how close the average pay that small businesses pay is to the total pay. So you have small businesses between 0 and 49 employees, and it's essentially totaling about 95% of what the average pay is for all sectors, that being large business, medium-sized businesses, government sources, nonprofits, and others. Whereas you see in California, it is much smaller. It is going to be an average pay that is higher and a small business pay that's higher, but the percentage is only 73% compared to that 95.4 here in Kern County. And the other thing we learned is that the value of certain employees, that the more that you kind of grow a small business, as you see here, the 0 to 4 employees is close to about 38,000 in Kern County. But once you get up to 20 to 49, it's 54,000. And just that first jump from 0 to 4 employees to 5.9, look at that, wage goes for the employee from about 38,000 to 48,000, which is huge. So really, it's on us to grow our small businesses for those of you that want to grow and want to grow out of that 0 to 4 employee range and maybe double the size of your employees. It really looks to come with a lot more benefits as far as profitability for the small business owner as well. So there we are. Also, the other key factor was that we saw that for the state of California, the small business percentage of total payroll is 30%, whereas you jump to Kern County and it is just a shade under 40%. So it is really huge in areas such as Kern County, and it'll be interesting. Dr. Evans is going to present some information on Friday for the entire region, for the entire San Joaquin Valley. And it'll be interesting to see if those numbers hold true in other areas of the San Joaquin Valley. So he will be presenting that, and there'll be more on Friday, the May 9th. from 9 to 10 a.m. via Zoom will be the Central California SBDC Small Business of the Year Awards. There's your 6 finalists. You got to meet Stephanie from Sweet Bites and Ice, 5 others from the 5 other centers throughout the Central California region. We'll have their candidates there, and we will have a Small Business 2025 Small Business of the Year Award. And it will mean this is the last day that our 2024 Small Business of the Year, Ivan and Gabriela Aiello of United Pipe and Steel, they were awarded the 2024 region for some of the great work that they have done with their manufacturing business, pictured here with Jay Thompson, who's worked with them for over 13 years. So on our Capital Quarter, we did have, we mentioned our partner report from the Federal Reserve Bank. And a couple of things that kind of stand out here that in our respondents, and we had close to 100 respondents nationwide, it was about 5,800. And one thing that we saw was that compared to the national average, the age of the primary owner of those that were responding from the CSU Bakersfield SBDC were younger. We see that both particularly in those that are under the age of 35, but we also see it in the 35 to 44 demographic and even up to 45 to 54. So we are working with younger primary owners, which means also we're dealing with most likely younger firms and working to provide the services to help younger firms grow. Obviously, that's going to include capital. Another thing that stood out on this was the geography. And as you will see on the rural section, almost 50% higher are rural penetration compared to that of the national survey. So 22% of our respondents were coming from rural areas, compared to only 15% on a national level. Some of the other resources that we want to keep you appraised of is the free human resource hotline. It is provided by the California Employers Association, and it is through a lot of the workforce development boards throughout the San Joaquin Valley and also the Central Coast and Eastern Sierra regions. So you will see those numbers in particular. Great place to start if you have a particular HR issue, want to get a question answered. There's the individual telephone numbers, the toll-free numbers throughout the particular region. Also, SBDC, we have some great tools to assist your small business succeed. A lot of tools, even going from a lot of different things. Today, we'll just look at our capital assessment form. And the capital assessment form is just something our advisors use to kind of get the full idea of what you actually need from a small business funding perspective. So by having all the information, and it's a lot of personal information, but it really gives our advising team and our SBDC team an opportunity to try to find you the funding that is best for your particular business. We have people that come in and think that they need a small business loan when really there are other options that might be better for them. So that's kind of our capital assessment form and how we work with businesses. Coming up on Webinar Wednesday, we have our next 3 weeks. On May 14th, we have marketing tips with 3 experts. Some webinars only give you marketing tips with 2 experts. We're giving you 3 experts. Also, Webinar Wednesday 347, it's going to be a fascinating program on opportunity zones. The last webinar we did before the pandemic in 2020 in February was on opportunity zones, and there was a lot of buzz going on. Kind of got knocked down during the pandemic, but really opportunity zones are specified areas, oftentimes in downtown areas, to where there are zones that are created and there are tax benefits for individuals who invest in small businesses in those areas, and also potentially buildings in that particular opportunity zone. We will be working with who I think is an expert, Jennifer Whitney, who has been working on the opportunity zone as funding her particular business in Bishop, And we will be here on May 21st to talk about that. May 28th will be Kern County Economic and Small Business Programs. We'll have a variety of programs from the County of Kern, including their Kern Advance, also a lot of their on-the-job training programs for those looking to hire people, and a couple of other programs. And I think they're going to make a program announcement that day on May 28th. To work with us at the SBDC. Confidential, no cost, no obligation expert consulting. You can, in Kern, Inyo, and Mono, go to our website at csubsbdc.com. We will gladly work with you. And this allows me to bring in today's special guest. And our special guest is Dawn Golik. And she is the district director for the Fresno District Office of the U.S. Small Business Administration. We all refer to it as the SBA. She joined the SBA in November of 2012 as the Deputy District Director. She has used her collaboration, community development, marketing, and outreach experience to oversee a lot of the great programs the SBA offers that we'll talk about today. And those include the SBA lending programs, the government contracting programs, and a lot of the community outreach and reaching out to small businesses and those wanting to start a small business in 15 California counties. Dawn, it's great to have you here today. Come on in.
Thank you, Kelly. It's great to be here during National Small Business Week. This is like the Oscars for the SBA. So I'm really happy to be part of the event and talk a little bit with small businesses this afternoon about some updates related to SBA programs. So first of all, I do want to note that every year during the first week of May, the SBA does honor and recognize outstanding small businesses across the country. And here in the 15-county San Joaquin Valley and Central Coast District that the Fresno office serves, we also recognize and honor outstanding businesses. So I just want to let businesses that may be watching, that might be customers or clients of the SBDC know that we will probably start taking applications for the 2026 Small Business of the Year awards in November, December. So if you're a client of Kelly's and you're somebody who, or someone that's used SBA programs, perhaps you've had a loan, perhaps you are in the 8A program, or you've done some government contracting, you may want to consider nominating yourself or another business that you know that has a great story to tell about how the SBA has helped them start up, scale up, and succeed. It's a pretty easy nomination form, and we are always looking for great success stories. I know a number of years ago, we did have our Small Business of the Year winner was from Kern County. So we have had some winners from Kern County over the years, and that would be something what we want to make sure businesses know that they would have an opportunity to do soon for the 2026 awards. So I want to start off this morning talking a little bit about some new SBA initiatives and some new focuses for our agency. So one of those is manufacturing. There are some programs and some services that the SBA has that can really be valuable for businesses that might want to leverage the increased interest in domestic manufacturing. Certainly, we often think of manufacturing as something that's done on a big scale, but I was actually at a Small Business Week earlier today, a Small Business Week event, and had met a wonderful manufacturer that is a woman who's working in her garage. She sells a whole line of backpacks and other packing gear for people who are climbers, people who do mountaineering, to allow them to carry and store their ropes, their climbing equipment, and other things that they need to go outdoors and hike. And it was amazing to me to think about manufacturing on a really nano scale. So this is a person that sells her products all over the country. All over the world. She has customers in multiple countries, and she's doing her manufacturing from her garage. So I do want to just spend a little bit of time today and talk about some of the resources that would be available to businesses in Kern County, the San Joaquin Valley, across California and around the country if they're thinking about perhaps tapping into some of this renewed interest in domestically made products. So the SBA has announced the Made in America initiative, and that is focused on three primary things for businesses that might want to either start manufacturing or from businesses that may currently be manufacturing but may want to expand. So one of those is increased access to capital. I think sometimes people think of SBA loans and they say, well, I don't need a big loan. Although SBA loans do go up to $5 million, we recognize that not every business needs a loan that large. So the SBA does have smaller dollar value loans provided by microlenders, SBA approved lenders that work specifically in that space of being able to provide just a little bit of capital to businesses, but sometimes that little bit of capital makes a big difference for a small business. So the SBA does have lending programs that can be used for a number of things related to manufacturing. Again, we have our microloans for businesses like the one that I met this morning that's doing manufacturing in her garage. Maybe she just needs $5,000 in capital to buy raw materials so she can produce her products and sell them domestically or export them around the globe. So through the SBA microloan program, businesses would have the opportunity to access that amount of capital. But sometimes a business may be an existing manufacturer that needs to buy updated equipment, or perhaps they may be a business that wants to purchase commercial real estate to build a warehouse or a building. So the SBA also has our 504 loan program, and that's capital available through Community Development Corporation, CDCs, of which you have several that serve Kern County, that give businesses the long-term capital they need to make those big investments in their company. So maybe you need to buy a big expensive piece of equipment, or maybe you want to buy land and put a building on it, or buy an existing building and do some upgrades. Both of those are things that can be done with an SBA 504 loan. And we've seen some really significant growth in that particular program just in the last 90 to 100 days. There again is really a renewed interest in manufacturing, and the SBA loans are available to support that. We also have our 7A loans, and those are loans that are made by banks and other financial institutions to give businesses things like working capital or lines of credit. So all of these are able to provide businesses with access to the capital that they need to start up, to scale up, and to succeed, not only in manufacturing, but in a variety of industries. I know, congratulations to the award winner that received their award a little while ago. We get a lot of requests from businesses like that may be restaurants or service-based businesses that they need some money to get started, some working capital. And SBA 7A loans can be used for that. I want to also mention that sometimes people aren't interested in a loan from a bank or that sort of financing. They may be interested in investment capital. They may be interested in finding investors that can support their business and growth. So the SBA also has investment programs. So we have our SBIR, SBIC, and STTR programs. We love our acronyms, but basically those are programs that provide businesses the ability to connect with potential investors for their business, either through projects that have the ability to go to market, and that would be through our SBIR, STTR programs, particularly businesses that may be doing something in the technology, manufacturing, national security, health arenas. There is money available through partnerships and contracts through federal government agencies to get you the capital that you need to do additional research and to bring your developments to market. The SBA also has our small business investment corporations, our SBICs, and these are organizations that are approved and vetted by the SBA that do investment capital for businesses, and we have them all over California. So a renewed focus, again, not only on access to capital, but also opportunities for public and private investment in support of manufacturing are two parts of SBA's new Made in America initiative. And then lastly, helping small businesses export products on a global scale. So the SBA is one of several federal government agencies, also including the U.S. Department of Commerce and Export-Import Bank, that provides small businesses with services, support, and capital to help you sell overseas. One of my favorite parts of my job is getting to go out and talk to business owners. And I love to ask, hey, are you doing any exporting? No, I'm not. Then I'll say, well, do you sell to Canada or Mexico? Well, yeah, some of my best customers are in Mexico. So those businesses are in fact exporting. And it's important for businesses to know that through the support available through federal government agencies, including again, SBA, Department of Commerce, and Ex-Im Bank, there's a lot of help to not only get you broken into new markets, but also to support you in providing really favorable terms to your foreign customers. Credit is not always readily available in foreign markets. And so if you are able to get an overseas customer to do a deal with, you may not want to have them tie up all their cash. They may not want to do that. And so through SBA programs, as well as those through Department of Commerce and Ex-Im Bank, there are resources to help you extend terms to your overseas customers so that they don't have to tie up all their capital and you have a real significant competitive advantage over other businesses that may also be selling in that market, but may not be able to extend terms to their customers. So all of those three parts are key to the SBA's new Made in America to again support an increased focus on domestic production and manufacturing. As a result of that, and some really significant outreach and increased awareness about the importance of manufacturing, SBA has seen some dramatic rises in our loan volume and the number of loans that small businesses are taking out. So just since January, we've seen over an 80% increase in our 7A and 504 loan approvals. And so that's it's a big surge for small businesses. And it really speaks to increased business formation and growth. This also includes a very significant increase in loans for businesses that are really small, those with 5 or fewer employees, as well as those for new startups. So the good news is that there is definitely money available for small businesses, whether you want to start or expand. And again, I think it's always important for businesses to know that we are not lenders. We get a lot of calls here at the office in Fresno from people who are interested in capital for their business, and I think are sometimes surprised that SBA is not a direct lender. Actually, the only time that SBA lends directly to you is in the case of a federally declared disaster. And there are a couple of disaster declarations that are impacting Kern County, and I'll touch on those here a little bit later. So related to SBA lending, there have been some changes to SBA loan programs in recent weeks. So I want to touch a little bit on that. So one of those has to do with citizenship verification. So all new SBA loan applications now include a provision for citizenship verification to ensure that only applicants that are eligible for SBA lending are able to access SBA programs. And so lenders have had to put some additional things in place to confirm that businesses that apply for an SBA loan are in line with that. So that does, really make it more important for businesses, I think, to know before they go in and apply for a loan that they are in fact eligible for SBA lending. And this is where our resource partner agencies can really be of huge service. We do encourage businesses before they go in to talk to a lender to reach out to one of their local resource partner agencies that are funded by the SBA. Of course, that includes the SBDC in Kern County. I also want to mention that in Kern County, we have SCORE, we have the Women's Business Center, we have the Veteran Business Outreach Center, and then for businesses that may be interested in government contracting, we have the Golden State Procurement Technical Assistance Center, which now goes by the Apex Accelerator. So all of those organizations can help you as a business owner make sure that before you go in and talk to a lender, if you need capital for your business, that you're in the best possible shape to really increase the likelihood that your loan would get funded. So that can include things like having a business plan, making sure that your business financials are in really good shape, and then also making sure that your business and all of the owners would in fact be eligible for SBA lending under some of these new procedures that are required now to make loans. Another one of those is birth date verification. So the SBA now requires all new loan applications to verify an applicant's age and the date of birth. And that's really meant to mitigate any kind of fraud from people inappropriately applying or trying to misuse SBA loan programs or commit fraud. So that is another change and update that is included now in SBA lending. And then also some automatic fraud alerts. So for applicants that may be under 18 or applicants that are over 100, the SBA has put into place some birth date verification processes just to keep an eye out for situations like that, where it might indicate that perhaps there is some potential fraud happening. I also want to note that last month, the SBA restored lender fees within the 7A loan program. Those had been on pause for a period of time, but there was a new SOP that was released to lenders that made changes to loan origination policies. And so that is going to require some fees on the part of borrowers, which is not something that SBA has been doing, but has in fact now reinstated. And then additionally, there's a new rule that's been put in place to reinstate and streamline the franchise directory. I think buying existing businesses or buying franchises is an often overlooked opportunity on the part of business owners that may want to start a business. And so the SBA does have a directory of businesses that are eligible to receive an SBA loan. So if you are thinking about starting a business or you're looking into that, finding a business that is eligible under the SBA franchise directory can be a way to break into business ownership. There's a lot of support that's available to you through a franchise. And again, those businesses are eligible for SBA lending if you need capital to start that up. And then I also want to mention that buying an existing business. I love when we get calls from entrepreneurs, sometimes employees of current businesses that say, hey, the business owner is retiring. They're selling the business. Like, could I use an SBA loan to buy that? And the answer is, yeah, you may be able to do that. So we do always advise anybody that wants to buy an existing business to buyer beware. And most of the time, those deals work out beautifully, but it's really, really important if you're thinking about buying an existing business, even if you're an employee of that business, that you really do your due diligence as a potential business owner. That would include things like looking at the last several years of tax returns, looking at the last several years of financials, making sure that you have your own legal and accounting professionals that only work for you to review the details of the business. How are they, doing? Are they making money? Are they profitable? To look at that contract before you sign it. And these, again, are also services that the SBDC and our other resource partner agencies can assist you with. They can't provide legal or financial advice, but they can give you guidance on things that you could be doing or things that you should look out for if you're buying an existing business. And so that can be a great way to break into business ownership by purchasing an existing established business. Maybe you want to keep the current owner on for goodwill. Maybe, they've already got products and sales that you can purchase that goes along with that, purchasing the existing inventory. So all of these, I think, are really valuable ways for entrepreneurs that might want to start a business to be able to kind of go with a sure thing by buying a business that's already established. A couple of other things that I want to mention. One is I touched on earlier that the only time SBA is a direct lender for an SBA loan is in case of a disaster. And so I do want to note that there are 2 current federally declared disasters where Kern County is eligible for funding. So the first one would be due to the lake fire. There are funds available under the SBA's Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And that is for businesses that may not have sustained physical damage to their business or their business assets, but may be experiencing financial damage. So perhaps you've lost sales, perhaps your business has been affected by a loss of foot traffic if you're in a disaster zone. Maybe some of your biggest customers were affected by the fire and they're not currently buying from you. So important for businesses to know that that SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan due to the lake fire is available until June 6th. So that's another month. If you maybe just now are starting to experience some slowdowns or loss of revenue, that is something that is available to you. And then additionally, Kern County is considered a contiguous county to the Los Angeles fires for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. So again, similarly, if you may not have had physical damage because you're not located in Los Angeles, but maybe some of your top customers are in Los Angeles, or perhaps your best suppliers are in Los Angeles, and it's costing you more to buy your products because the cheapest purveyor of those was affected by the fire. You also may be eligible to receive assistance under the SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And so for businesses that might have been affected economically by the Los Angeles fires, the deadline for you to apply for one of those loans is October 8th. And so there's a lot of great information on the SBA.gov webpage. You can find resources of how to apply. You can get help over the phone applying. You can apply online. So all of those are services available to you. And then lastly, I want to note that the SBA has set up a new red tape hotline. We recognize that there are businesses here across the San Joaquin Valley in Kern County in certain industries, agriculture is one that comes to mind, that may be affected by federal regulations. And so the SBA has launched a red tape hotline for businesses that have concerns about federal regulations that may be creating excessive costs or really negatively impacting small businesses. You can reach out and let the SBA know about that. And that is through our Office of Advocacy. There are advocates around the country that are able to look into these situations and see if there's any remedy that might be available to the business that has been affected by red tape. So at this point, I think Kelly was going to grill me with some questions. So I'm going to pause there and go back to him.
Well, I'm going to be doing some grilling pretty soon, but not questions. I really appreciate you mentioning the fact that it's such a great opportunity at times to purchase an existing business.
Mm-hmm.
And before I jump into our Q&A section, we've had the pleasure actually of working with a few entrepreneurs who actually assumed COVID EIDL loans.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great opportunity if the existing owner is looking to retire, but has now 25 years left on a 30-year note. And so there's a lot of opportunities there. Is SBA still allowing and still looking at those under those assumptions?
Yeah, so the best way to request any servicing action on your loan would be through the My SBA Loan portal. I know we do get calls from businesses that want to lien release. They may want to sell the business. They may want to have somebody that wants to assume the loan or bring in new principals. The best way now for you to request any of those servicing actions would be either on your My SBA loan portal or to email the loan servicing email address. So businesses may not be aware that they have a full dashboard available to them through a My SBA loan portal. It takes about 10 minutes to set up. You can make payments there, you can send messages, and we really recommend that people, if they don't already have one, set that up. So the short answer is there's a number of servicing actions you can request. We recognize that a lot of times those are very urgent for businesses when they request them. So you can do that. Either you can send messages either on your SBA loan portal, or you can email I believe it's cesc@sba.gov.
Fantastic. And Nate, I got to jump on your question there. So the one thing that we've seen about it that really is nice for those wanting to purchase an existing business is that we're also going to be able to assume a 25-year loan at 3.75%.
Mm-hmm.
And also that would count toward part of the acquisition price of that particular business. So if you come across a business like that, we've even seen some business valuations to where the presence of the SBA COVID EIDL loan actually increases the value of that particular business.
Mhm.
I'm not getting into any appraisals here and now, but I have seen that. So it is a great resource. Okay, Don, we have some questions.
I'm looking at the chat here,
Oh, okay, you're in the chat. I went to the Q&A, but so let's see.
or the Q&A. Mm-hmm. So I think I did touch on the changes to the SBA loan programs.
Okay.
We had a question on the differences in the services provided by the different resource partners. Sometimes businesses may, need to try one or two resource partners to find the right one. I would say that I think we're very lucky across the 15 county region that we serve, that we have very strong resource partners all the way around. So I think the SBDC does a great job. You have a fantastic women's business center also in Kern County. In the Kern Women's Business Center, you have a good SCORE chapter, you've got the Apex Accelerator, and you have a strong Veterans Business Outreach Center. So, I think sometimes for business owners or entrepreneurs, some or all of those organizations could help you, and it really just comes down to which one you think is the best fit. So I'm not sure that there's specific business challenges. I think our SCORE chapter is really good with startup businesses, and the SBDCs are really good with existing businesses, but I think they're all good at all of that, and it's really just a matter of the business finding the one that is the best fit for them.
Oh, I love that final question having to do with procurement and certifications. And I did have the opportunity the last time we did a webinar with SBA to have Joshua Halk on talking about
Mhm.
a lot of the certifications when we were in Ridgecrest in February. So are there best practices for small businesses using procurement services, SBA certifications, other aspects?
Yeah, I think knowledge is power, and sometimes businesses don't realize, for example, they can have multiple certifications. Sometimes businesses don't realize that once they get the certifications, they are responsible for doing their own marketing. We don't market you. You have to market yourself, but you can use your certifications to do that. So there's a lot of great information on the certification platforms. I find that that's kind of an often overlooked resource. Businesses will call and say, well, tell me all about the 8A program. And I'll say, well, actually, if you go on the the My SBA certifications platform, there's fantastic tools that you can use to figure out which ones you're eligible for, to help you get all of your documents together, to help walk you step by step through the application process. So I think one best practice is just to take a look at the information that's available to you and not be intimidated by that. I mean, there's, I think, a great deal of resources to help businesses kind of break that down step by step so that they're not overwhelmed with having to tackle what I'm sure feels like an impossible task all at once.
All right. Okay, so jumping into the chat, we did have a couple of responses to the poll question on what you're optimistic about. And one is helping my community, and the other is our sales pipeline. Wow. Yeah, that sales pipeline, being optimistic about is a good thing. Also in the chat is the link for the Central California SBDC Small Business of the Year, which is Monday 9 to 10. Also, wanting to, our SBDC Get Started, if you want to sign up for SBDC services, our Eastern Sierra Capital Summit is coming up on June 12th. I might have skipped over that, but there's information. We'll have plenty of information on that in the next few weeks. But the Eastern Sierra Capital Summit, our major financing and also equity and alternative conference. You want to learn more about the success story, Sweet Bites and Ice, there's a link to that. SBA's Made in America initiative. And I know Don probably heard enough of me asking if there would be a new manufacturing loan program the last few years. So you could imagine that I'm pretty happy about this, dealing with a lot of manufacturers back then, and also currently it's really nice to see this SBA Made in America initiative. Also a link to the small business investment companies, SBA exporting products, the franchise directory, which I'm glad to hear is back. That is a good resource. Website for disaster relief, the EIDL program. Also, there's a red tape hotline through Advocacy SBA. There's the link for that. And a question or two in the chat box.
Yeah, I see those.
Okay, well, the first one is, what is the credit requirements for 7A and 504 loan opportunities?
Yeah, so I would just say in general, SBA does look at your credit worthiness as an individual, even though you're borrowing money for your business. If you know that you've got some credit issues, we would encourage you to try and address those before you go in and talk to a lender. Credit is not the only thing that is looked at. And again, SBA is not the lender on loans. So we really try and encourage people to, go and talk to a resource partner and get lender ready before you go in and talk to a lender, and find a lender that you feel comfortable working with and sit down and let them look at what can you borrow? What are you potentially eligible for? What do you actually need? The biggest, the number one question we always ask when people call and ask about loans is, how much do you think you need? And when they say, well, how much do you think I could get? We say right away, oh, you need to call a resource partner. You are not ready to go in and talk to a lender. So we encourage businesses to work directly with the lender of their choice, and let the lender kind of guide them through that process. On the other question about EIDL loans, forgiveness on EIDL loans, at this time, there has been no announcements made of forgiveness on EIDLs. Again, like other federal government agencies, the SBA implements programs as they are designed and funded by Congress. And so the EIDL loan was designed to be fully repaid. So at this time, there is not, nothing has been announced contrary to that.
Okay. And we always recommend and try to recommend that if you are having issues, reach out to the SBDC. Let's keep that EIDL loan up to date and current. It's amazing, as I mentioned earlier, that there is value in those loans for potential reselling part of that particular business. So, okay, well, looks like a wrap for webinar number 345. Don Golik, always a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much.
Ellie, great to see you. Happy National Small Business Week, everybody.
Yes, that's the great thing about it. The webinar's over, but we still have 2 more days. So everybody have a great National Small Business Week. Next week, we'll be back. Webinar number 346 on marketing with 3 experts. So, Dawn, any last comments?
Oh, just thank you to our small businesses. It's, I think, the hardest job in the world to be a small business owner. And we appreciate everything that you're doing. And you've got a great team in the SBDC and the other resource partners in Kern County.
Fantastic. Okay, everybody, have a great week. We'll be back next week. So long, everyone.